Don't turn the page. The king executed the healer who had saved his life. Then he opened the dead man's final book. Its pages looked blank, but each one carried the sentence the king had already passed upon himself. In an old Persian city ruled King Yunan, a powerful man trapped inside a failing body. Leprosy had spread across his skin, and every physician in his court had failed him. He swallowed bitter medicines. Servants covered him in ointments. Nothing changed. The sickness remained visible to every visitor, turning each royal audience into a humiliation. Then a foreign sage named Duban arrived at the palace. He had studied languages, plants, philosophy, and the hidden effects of medicines. Standing before the throne, he made an impossible promise. He would cure the king without making him swallow a drug or rubbing a single ointment on his skin. Duban returned with a polo mallet and ball. The mallet's handle was hollow, packed with a remedy only the sage understood. He told Yunan to ride hard, grip the handle, and strike the ball until sweat ran from his hand and body. The king obeyed. Courtiers watched him chase the ball across the field until his palm burned and his robes clung to his back. As he galloped, the medicine passed through his warm hand. Duban then ordered him to bathe and sleep. At dawn, Yunan looked down and saw clear skin. The disease that had defeated every royal physician was gone. Overjoyed, the king covered Duban in robes, gold, and honor, and welcomed him as a trusted companion. One man watched the celebration with fear. Yunan's vizier saw the sage rising in the king's favor and imagined his own power disappearing. He approached the throne with a warning. Duban was a foreign agent, he said, and miracles were only another kind of weapon. At first, Yunan defended the man who had cured him. The vizier returned again, speaking as though betrayal had already begun, and only he was brave enough to see it. He repeated one poisonous thought. If Duban could change the king's body through something held in his hand, he could kill the king just as easily through touch, scent, or some innocent-looking gift. Gratitude began to retreat before suspicion. The king summoned Duban and announced that he must die. The old healer stared at the ruler, whose life he had restored. He asked what crime he had committed. Yunan had no evidence, only the fear planted by his vizier. Around them, the same courtiers who had celebrated the miracle lowered their eyes. Duban begged the king to remember the cure and warned him, "Spare me, and God may spare you. Destroy me, and destruction may return to you." Yet the warning only frightened Yunan more. A man who knew how to heal without medicine seemed capable of killing without a blade. The king ordered the execution to proceed. Duban requested one final night to settle his household and choose where his books should go. The next morning, he returned carrying an old volume called The Secret of Secrets and a small jar of powder. The book looked ancient, its leather cover cracked and its pages swollen with age. He offered it to Yunan as his final gift. After the execution, Duban explained, his head should be placed on a platter coated with the powder. The bleeding would stop. Then the king must open the book to the 6th page, read 3 lines, and ask a question. The severed head would answer. Yunan's fear vanished beneath his curiosity. Now he wanted Duban dead simply to witness the wonder. The executioner raised his sword. Soon Duban's head rested upon the prepared platter and, just as promised, his eyes opened. A murmur moved through the court. The king took the ancient book. Its pages were sealed together. He pressed a finger to his tongue, loosened one page, and turned it. Blank. He wet his finger again and opened another. Still blank. Duban's head told him to continue. The court watched as the king licked his fingertips and forced apart page after page, searching for words that were never there. A bitter taste touched his mouth. Then his hands began to tremble. The book had carried no secret writing. It carried poison. The poison entered through the king's fingers and mouth, just as Duban's cure had once entered through the handle of the mallet. Yunan swayed on his throne and finally understood the symmetry of the trap. The hand that had accepted a cure had now accepted a sentence. He had trusted envy over evidence, fear over gratitude, and curiosity over mercy. The innocent healer could no longer be restored. Duban's head spoke its last judgment. Rulers who act without justice eventually meet the consequence of their own command. The king collapsed beside the blank book. The vizier had removed his rival, but he had also destroyed the ruler he claimed to protect. The tale of King Yunan and Sage Duban survives because its trap is so simple. The king dies from the same idea that once saved him. What enters through the hand can heal, and what enters the mind can destroy. This story was told by Lamplight on Nightfall Tales.